Yes, SE family, hope you guys are well, man. Listen, one of the biggest problems I find with some new Etsy sellers is patience. It's patience. And what I mean by that is in the rush of trying to create listings really quickly, because obviously they think they know that creating listings, lots of listings is good, which it is. In the rush of doing that, things are lost along the way from the quality of the design that they're creating, from doing the market research properly, from actually having a brand, from actually using the right keywords in the title, from making sure that the pricing is correct, because even pricing has a strategy, not implementing any sales, not using the right tags, not making sure the FAQs are answered in the product description on the listing. I can go on and on and on and on, and I can digress, mate. I can go on forever. Because what I will say to you is slow down, right? Slow down. I tell my students all the time, slow down, relax, get your checklist and make sure you're doing all of these points properly, because it is a checklist. It's science-based and you need to go down and make sure you do everything correctly. Because sometimes they'll be like, oh my God, I'm not making the sales, man. And I listed about 1,000. What are you doing? Like, slow the hell down. You don't need to be going like that. You need to slow down and focus on the task ahead. So focus on your listing. Make sure that everything is there on point. Check it. Go over it. Did you do your validation? Did you do your market research? Because if you miss something out, if you just miss one thing and you don't do it properly, I mean, look, it's hard enough anyway. But if you miss something out, then you're giving yourself no chance. No chance, mate. You know? So do your due diligence. Do your research properly. Make sure that you've thoroughly made sure that you can something that get into. Make sure you use all that mad real estate, you know, all the tags that are you're allowed to import. Why are you missing one or two out? You know, you're missing your chance of selling. And this is the problem. People are missing the chance of selling properly. And then they give up. So then they wonder, why am I not selling? You know, like, because they're not doing the sort of the steps properly. And so what they do is they wonder why they're not selling. And when you wonder why you're not selling, then you're going to slowly give up and then you stop. And this is the problem. Do not rush. It's the speed of you trying to do things because you want to be quick. But it's not about that. It's about if you do all the steps properly, you might find out that actually after doing your market research, for example, that it's actually not the one to get into. And you shouldn't have even done your design in the first place anyway. So actually, funny enough, you could be wasting your time as well in the process. You could be listing up, spending hours upon hours, getting all of those listings done. And because you're rushing it, the quality of the quality is going to be poor, right? And the most important thing is you got to make sure that you have a quality product, right? Because if you don't have a quality product and people actually buy it, take it, and then they see it and it's just not great, then you're losing anyway because your reviews are going to be terrible. So it's a lose-lose if you don't do it properly. But by slowing down and doing each step, each relevant step, slowly, carefully, meticulously, in detail, then not only are you validating each part and you're making sure it's done properly, you're giving yourself a massive boost, a massive opportunity, a better chance. And not only that, on top of that is you're also having good practices. We call it good practice. So let's say, for example, you know, when you learn how to drive, right? So in the UK, when you learn how to drive, you have to drive a certain way, even holding the steering wheel a certain way, you know, even the way you check on the mirrors for the car, the wing mirrors and everything, you got to do it like in a certain sort of process. Hence why you get your driving license, right? It should be the same thing with Etsy. You should be going through a process, checking, making sure that part is done properly, making sure the market research is done, making sure there's validation, checking, make sure the pricing that your listing is at is correct, looking at the product description. Are you answering all the FAQs? Are you doing sort of chunks, bite-size information? Are you also adding relevant keywords in there? You should be doing every single part of the listing meticulously in detail and checking it. And you know, one way to ensure that you have the right things is, and we are so fortunate, is that Etsy has an abundance of information on it. Everything that you need is on Etsy. Now, yes, granted, you do need some good research SEO tool. Check out EVERBEE. The link is in my description. Try it out for free. Okay. And that can also help you validate certain things. So if I wanted to look at, let's say, I don't know, tumblers, which I'm at, and I might want to do specific tumblers. I don't know. It could be floral tumblers, funny animal tumblers. It could be sunflower print and print tumblers, personalized ones. There's so many categories, right? I'll go into the category and I'll study the category. Study your niche that you want to get into. Study it. Know it inside out. Know it inside out, right? Because you can't just go into something blind. Know it inside out and then implement the steps properly, right? Like I said, I'm going to go back to the driving the cars or test analogy. Before you drive your test, right? You're going to revise, right? You're going to revise, read about it, look at the theory. It's the same thing. When you go into a niche, you need to revise it. You need to study it. You need to understand it. You need to look at recent listings that are selling, that are working, that are doing well. You need to look at the ones that are really big in the category, right? There's so much that goes into it, and it's a process. It's a process. You have to go through a process. Don't just rush listing up thinking it works. No, you have to validate each part of the process, right? You know, sometimes it could be a case of, you know, you could be doing everything right with regards to the market research, with regards to the title, with regards to the tags, you know, every part. But there could be one missing bit, which could be simply the listing images are not good enough. And then that actually really messes up your everything, and it doesn't give you any sales, right? Because when you mess up an important part of the sort of machine, then that could also stop everything. So you could have a great product. You've done a market research. You know it's unsaturated. You know the niche is fabuloso. You've done your tag. You've done your title. It's all good. But the listing images are terrible. Then you might not even get a sale, right? And it might mess everything up. So it's so important to go through a whole process. Do not rush. Take your time, right? Take your time. There's no point in rushing when, you know, if you're not going to sell anyway. Slow down. Do a checklist. Make sure that each part of the checklist is checked. Because let's say you're going into listing images. Then you're going to say, okay, how many listing images do I need? So you need a certain amount. Should I add a video? Yes, have a video. Yeah. So each part of the process, a subcategory to check as well. Make sure you check everything, right? That's what I always say to my students. You got to check every single part of it. So yeah, no rushing, man. Slow the hell down. You know, remember in this race, mate, it's the tortoise that wins the race, mate. It ain't the rabbit. It ain't that rabbit. It's the tortoise, mate. It's the tortoise. Anyways, hit the like, subscribe, smash that notification bell for more videos in your feed, mate. In your feed.